Hello, everyone. Good to see you again. There's one thing that I've been watching the news recently, and whether you live in Canada, the United States, anywhere in the Western world, for example, just want to say openly is that don't expect any of these politicians to change anything. I don't expect Trump to change anything. I don't expect Pierre Poilievre to change anything. They're just throwing a bunch of rhetoric. And if you live in Canada, like I do, this guy is completely full of it. I saw him talk about he's not going to do anything about the migration crisis here. He's going to do nothing. Zero. Zero. This guy's not going to do anything. He's a good talker. He's a good talker. Better than Trudeau. Trudeau's got to go. But if you're expecting change from these people, I got some news for you. They ain't going to change anything. You have to start demanding a systematic change. A peaceful, non-violent, systematic change that needs structural reform. Not switching politicians, not switching blue to red and red to blue. Depends. If we're going to switch blue to red, blue from red in Canada and then reverse in the United States. Even in the UK, look at, because in Canada it's the same system, first past the post. There's not going to be any change at all, zero. If we don't demand structural change in the system. I keep making these short videos to make people feel a bit better about themselves and raise a bit of hope. But I'm just saying out loud is that these politicians are bought and paid for. They go through the system. They get, not groomed, but they get, I think groomed is a good word. Not in the context, of, what's going on. But they get washed through the system. They know how to manipulate it. They know how to use the system. And once they're in Ottawa or in Washington or in London, they play their little political games with our lives, with our money and our lives. While regular people suffer on the street and in regular positions, they do backdoor deals that stagnate and perpetuate whoever owns them, whoever's paid for their speeches, their public appearances, right? Officially, you can't really have a big financing campaigns in Canada, but there's backroom deals that they do where you can have speeches, where you can go on tour, where you can go in this club and that club, and that's how they get their campaigns financed. Oh, it's all legal, by the way. It's all legal. Nothing's here done illegal. They're gaming the system. If anybody remembers the 2016 election when I forget who asked President Trump about did he use some sort of one of the federal taxes to dissolve his $900-something million debt, and he said, yeah, of course, and everybody else did. And it's illegal, but that's the problem. That's the systematic problem that we have to get rid of. So, going back to my point is that these politicians will solve absolutely nothing. Zero. And I see people in the United States, here in Canada, and in the UK, they all, the Pierre Poilievre is going to save us. I got some news for you people. He ain't going to save anybody. You're not going to save anybody until actual change where people get out in the street, peacefully protest, and demand actual, real structural change in the system. That includes the tax system, that includes the immigration system, that includes anything that revolves infrastructure being actually completed, transparency when it comes to federal and other government funds. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Nothing gets built in Canada at all without bureaucratic nonsense. I mean, people have to look at if you live in Ontario, Doug Ford. He's been in power for 6 years now. The corruption is even worse now than it was during the Liberals. And this guy painted himself a man of the people because my brother was Rob Ford, and I'm gonna write his name in the office. And now look, there's more useless condos getting built because his buddies are developers. And if you live in Toronto, you know about the Science Center getting shut down because of a leaked roof. You know what's at the Science Center? 2 new subway lines that they're going to use to build condos. Leaked roof. They have money to blow on not on streetcar lines, LRT lines that they can't finish, but they can't fix a roof at the science center that's barely leaking. Come on, guys. Anyway, that's a little rant I went on there. But going a roundabout way, these politicians, they're not going to solve anything. There's got to be some sort of way where people get into committees and actually figure out a way to solve these issues without having to give up their sovereignty and authority to delegates and candidates and members of parliament, congressmen, and whoever sits in these chambers and do absolutely nothing. They're away from the actual issues of the people for most of the year. There's got to be some sort of rule by committee or something. Like, the problem is we give away our powers to these people, hoping that they'll take care of everything, and then we go back to our regular lives, and nobody wants to pay attention to detail. Every election, people give their God-given rights to these politicians, and they don't do anything. Just sleepwalk. Oh, we'll fix it. Like, in a democratic society, Canada's technically a monarchy, but in a democratically systematic society, in a republic, the United States is a constitutional republic. There's no democracy written actually in the United States. It has a democratic process, but it's not a democracy. It's a constitutional republic. People cannot give up their powers willfully to elected officials and hope that they'll just go to these parliaments and congresses, and that'll be it. You have to stay vigilant. The whole electorate has to stay vigilant. Politics is every day. What means when it comes to regulatory politics, work politics, and politics in the family dynamic. Politics is part of our lives. It takes on different forms. But if we just leave it to the politicians, we're castrating our ability to get actual progress done. This system is built to stagnate and keep change from happening. That's its whole point. As an electorate, as people that want change that's not drastic or violent, but needs to have some progression towards a more fair and equal society, just like it says in the United States Constitution, there needs to be a vigilance amongst the electorate. The problem is, people just give up that right to these politicians and then go to sleep for 4 years, or how much longer it is in Canada or in other parts of the world where elections take 5 to 6 years. If it's a majority government, if it's not a minority, it could be every 2 years or 1 year, or God knows how much. The issue is with us, and people people fall into the trap. Oh, we'll have a dictator because it's easier, because dictators unfortunately get shit done at the cost of the regular man. And that's why it's so appealing now. Like, people are honestly openly saying, oh, we should just become a dictatorship. Dictatorships get done. Well, yeah, they do. Dictatorship, a good dictatorship would outpace and outwork any democracy. But the problem is, dictatorship have a 15 to 20 year span, and then they start stagnating and calcifying, and then they'll fall behind faster than democracy. Democracy is even keel. They won't go fast, but you know what you get. With dictators, you'll go like this, and then you'll crash right away. Because people get into power, they create their hierarchy, and then they'll stagnate. Because then they're concerned not about benefiting society, but keeping the status quo and their positions in power. So, to conclude this roundabout rant and video about politicians and power, I'm saying, I'll make the point again. Do not expect change from these politicians if you're not willing to put in the work and keep these people accountable. They will not change. You'll have a 6-month, maximum to 1 year honeymoon period of something good. It will be the novelty moment of their new administration, and then you hit one scandal, then you hit another scandal, and we'll be back to square one, and then the next prick will show up randomly. They'll be groomed and pushed forward by whatever power structures behind the scenes. In order for these politicians to commit to their ideas, you have to hold them accountable. Say, hey, you and your campaign promised X, Y, and Z. Why aren't you delivering? Oh, it's because the previous... No. That's their little trick. They like to say, oh, it's the previous government. Okay, that's the oldest trick in the book. They say the previous government. You're in power now. You have the ability to change. Yeah, the previous government screwed up. We get it. But it's your job to fix it now. We put you in power. You have to fix it. You should have had a plan coming into the office before you messed it up. That's how in Ontario, the politicians here, Doug Ford, they're, oh, well, the Liberals screwed it up. I'm like, you've been in power for 6 years now, and you can't blame the Liberals no more. It's not their fault. It's your fault now. You've had that full cycle now to fix it. You haven't done it. Same thing with Trudeau. And I think same thing with every Democrat and Republican that gets into the office in the United States. So to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, these politicians will not change anything if you don't hold them accountable. God bless you all. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and follow. Thank you.